We're going to be going over Mandela effects, phenomena where people remember something one way, but they're actually the other, like something completely different than what you remember it, or not even existing at all. Sometimes it gets like that. But instead of doing Mandela effects in pop culture stuff, like mainstream or like low-key stuff, we're going to do ones in video games, alright? So here are some Mandela effects that have happened in video games, I should say. So let's get started. Todd Howard's Golden Cow. Skyrim is the 5th installment in the Elder Scrolls series, released on November 11, 2011, and has been released 7 different times across 8 different platforms. This game has stood the test of time. Skyrim may be the most watered down Elder Scrolls game when compared to the likes of Morrowind or even Daggerfall, but still, Skyrim is a really fun game. Especially with the community of dedicated mod developers, this game could definitely last another 2 console generations at best. I can still play Skyrim vanilla or with mods and experience things I haven't before. Whether it's locations or encounters, I'm always just like, yo, I'd never seen this. I don't know, I always get super immersed when I play Skyrim, I don't know how, and I just never remember my last playthrough of it. But given that it's released over 7 different times, we just want Elder Scrolls 6. With all the obvious love for Skyrim and the massive community pledging their support, it's clear that there's no corner of Skyrim that is unknown or untouched. That was until a Mandela effect was found. One of the many voice lines the guard can say is, "I used to be an adventurer like you, until I took an arrow to the knee." This statement became a big meme in the community, and it was a backbone to many jokes. Well, it turns out that we all heard the wrong thing, because the guard never says, "arrow to the knee." What he actually says is,
"I used to be an adventurer like you, and I took an arrow in the knee."
An arrow in the knee. Personally, I remember being arrow in the knee. It just sounds right to me. However, there is a YouTube video with over 20 million views on YouTube that says arrow to the knee. But there are also videos that came around the same time that say arrow in the knee. Could that serve as proof that it had changed? Or could it show that it was just misheard? Which do you remember? Minecraft has music discs that can be found throughout the world, but most of which are dropped when you kill a creeper with an arrow that is shot by a skeleton. These music discs can be collected and played by a jukebox that can be made with 8 wooden planks and 1 diamond. Some of the music that you can play with the music discs are like perfect. My favorite are Where Are We Now and the new like Nether dubstep one. That one's really cool, but like also Cat and Stall and Mall. I think Mall is one. Yeah, like those are also really good ones. There's some really good slappers. There's something that is misremembered about how they're played, or what happens to the disc rather, once the jukebox is done playing the song. So at the end of the song, nothing happens other than the song ending. That's what's in the game right now. However, many players remember the jukebox spinning the disc out after the song was finished playing. I tried to look into it and see if this was something that was a feature that was changed, because I remember it being that it did pop out of the jukebox when it played. Like when it finished, it popped out. So I went and checked to see in the patch notes, like from way before the Xbox 360 like first came out. So I went and checked the patch notes. The music disc was added in Minecraft in July 2010, and the Xbox 360 edition came out in 2012. When Minecraft came out on Xbox 360, we all had to play on the older update. So like it was the old Minecraft. It wasn't, we didn't get the bougie Minecraft like how PlayStation did, because PlayStation's version came out in 2013. So the Xbox players, we had to crawl our way out of the Stone Age and into the Golden Era to actually get a bougie Minecraft. So I believe that somewhere along this line, that the Minecraft music disc popping out of the jukebox had occurred in the past, but was changed along via an update. But like I said, I haven't found anything in the patch notes, so I checked, but I couldn't find anything, and there's a lot of patches, so like I don't have time to read everything, but so far I haven't found anything from when I looked. These next few Mandela effects are from the Pokemon series. It's quite interesting how many Mandela effects have been found, or noticed rather, in the Pokemon series, because there are quite a lot. So out of all the Mandela effects we'll be going through in this video, this one had my mind literally blast out of my head. I wasn't the biggest Pokemon fan growing up, but don't get me wrong, I did watch the TV show, and I had a binder or two full of cards, and I played the Pokemon games on the Game Boy Advance and the Nintendo DS. But I did stop playing after Pokemon Platinum. I didn't play Black or White or anything past those. I just didn't buy a 3DS, so I couldn't really play them. It's said that out of the current 1017 Pokemon that have been added to the Pokédex, there's one Pokemon that has been around since the early days, and that man is Onix. You know, the rock snake one that Brock has? Well, all I can say is a lot of us are about to lose our marbles. How do you remember spelling Onix? Was it Onyx with a Y or Onyx with an X? Well, for those of you that answered Onyx with a Y, we are wrong. Onyx is spelled with an I and not a Y. I'm all for using logic and reasoning before concluding on something supernatural happening, but for this poll to be at 100% for Onyx means that this was not what it used to be. How did this go unnoticed for so long? Every card or Pokemon breakdown I've looked up for Onix has his name being spelled with an I. Any trace of Onix being spelled with a Y has been completely wiped from existence. It was almost as if the original that we thought was the original never even existed. But the gemstone Onix is named after is spelled with a Y, so it could be that our brains have confused the two together and resulted in what would be a presumed Mandela effect. Now let's talk about the best it is what it is character in the Pokemon anime, Psyduck. And while we're on this topic, has any of you ever realized they tried to make Wobbuffet take Psyduck's role of the it is what it is Pokemon in anime? Like they would just make him pop out at the end of one of those moments and make him say his name. But there is one thing Wobbuffet has, or rather is, that many mistake Psyduck for being. What Pokemon types are Psyduck and Wobbuffet? If you answered Psychic for Wobbuffet and Psychic Water for Psyduck, then you would be incorrect. Wobbuffet is indeed a Psychic type Pokemon. Psyduck was never a Psychic, just a Water type. I thought some people may have gotten him confused for an Alola variant that had those types, like, you know how Rattata is a dark and normal type Pokemon in those games? But I didn't play those games, so I wouldn't know if there was more Pokemon that were like that. But no, from what I looked up, Psyduck doesn't have a water psychic type in that game either. So tons of people have screwed this one up, me included. I do see how we can make this mistake though. Psyduck and Golduck are both known to use water and psychic type moves in both the anime and video games. We'll use Pokemon Emerald for example. I would use Pokemon Red or Leaf Green for reference, but Emerald is the best one, so I'm gonna go with that one. Psyduck and Golduck can learn Confusion at level 16, and learn Rest and Calm from a TM disc. But if the Psyduck is raised from an egg, this boy can learn a hefty set of psychic moves: Future Sight, Hypnosis, Light Screen, Psybeam, Psychic. If Psyduck is just a water type Pokemon, why is it capable of learning an ensemble of psychic type moves? Well, according to this character bio, Psyduck actually suffers from really bad headaches. That's why he seems almost clueless and holds his head. It isn't because he wants to look cute. This man is literally dying from migraines and we're all laughing at him. Someone get this boy an Advil. When the symptoms of Psyduck's headaches worsen, they actually grant him the ability to tap into psychic type moves. All of this could be why we thought Psyduck was a water psychic type, because he technically is, just not actually a psychic type. While I believe the Psyduck one is actually a misconception since Psyduck can actually use psychic moves, I also think this one is just another mental mistake that people may have made. To start things off, let's look at Pikachu. Which Pikachu looks correct? If you answered the one on the right, you, my friend, are correct. To be incorrect. You see, Pikachu actually has no black tip to its tail. This doesn't even look right in my opinion, it just looks like Pichu, Pikachu's previous system update that does have a black tip to its tail. Pikachu has never had a black tip to its tail, and if you remember it this way, then you have to abide by the truths of my universe. I need every Halo fan watching this video to tell me what's going on with this. So in Halo Reach, there are different armor abilities that you can pick that allow you to do special abilities, like sprinting, flying with a jetpack, evade, predator-style active camo, the put this in front of your teammates so they can't shoot and then no one falls for this except me, and my all-time favorite, stop mid-fight and get assassinated, armor lockup. Oh, you thought it was armor lock? No, like how it's said in Bryce's Armor Lock song? Well, no, you're just wrong. Or are you? So apparently this Mandela effect is unique. Unique in a way that it exists alongside the original. So many of us remember it just being called armor lock. I even had my good friend answer this question, and he's a big fan of the Halo series. And I'd even say that Halo Reach is probably his favorite one. When I told him it was actually called armor lockup, and not just armor lock, he played the original Halo Reach disc to double check to see what it's called, and we came across two different answers. When you select the ability when you spawn in, or when you spawn the ability in Forge mode, it's called armor lock. But when you go to swap out another ability for armor lock, it's called armor lockup. Also, when you look up armor lock on Google, both armor lockup and armor lock are mentioned. So which one is it? In this case, they would both be right since they're both in game. And I've never came across anyone that's ever actually called armor lock armor lockup. And I didn't play a lot of Halo Reach, but I do know it's not often that you're swapping out your armor ability once you've spawned in. So it could be that no one's ever noticed that it says armor lockup. This can also be considered a Mandela effect. For those of you that don't know, Polybius is an arcade cabinet with a strange, unsettling history. So first things first, no one has actually come across or ever seen this arcade machine. Or so we think. It is said that Polybius is actually part of a CIA operative that was tied to their MK Ultra operation that involved mind control and neurological manipulations via synthetic drugs like LSD and other cruel and unusual methods. Many claim that Polybius was used as a test to see if they can alter the minds of those that played the machine via flashing colors, shapes, and sounds. This arcade machine was said to have existed in Portland, Oregon during the 1980s, or at least that's where the most sightings have been seen. However, there is no actual arcade cabinet for Polybius that has ever been recovered. All the photos of it online are just mere knockoffs that were created in the likeness of the original. There are people that claim to have played the game, however, and remember seeing it in their local arcades. Could Polybius never have even existed, and anyone claiming they have played the game be lying and in desperate need for attention? Or could Polybius have once existed?